Every major open world mobile game released now lives under the shadow of a colossal expectation. It's the Genshin Impact expectation to be exact. And Netmarble's 7 Deadly Sins Origin doesn't just borrow from that success, it wears the entire blueprint like a badge. Or, as I felt playing the closed beta, a profound burden. This isn't just another game for me. I'm quite a huge fan of the 7 Deadly Sins. The characters, the world of Britannia, the absolutely unapologetic hype of its power levels. It's a story I've loved for years and years. I've been checking this thing out, I've been watching, I've been reading it ever since its inception. It's almost a 10-year long story. So when Netmarble announced that Origins, an open world action RPG, it sounded like a wet dream. The chance to finally explore that world, to really live in it, was everything I ever wanted. Now, of course, we received a lot of 7 Deadly Sins IP games out there, Grand Cross being one of the main ones, but it just did not really hit the spark of what I felt in that true adventure. The dream feels quite borrowed, honestly. It's like someone kind of gave you the keys to my favorite fantasy kingdom, but I found out it was built with a blueprint that I already know by heart, a blueprint drawn up by Genshin Impact. So the biggest question is 7 Deadly Sins Origin just a lazy copycat, a cash grab using a beloved IP on a proven formula? Or does it actually have an identity of its own? A soul worth finding under all the familiar layers. Today, we're going to get into that conflict, break this game down piece by piece, and figure out why I feel so conflicted about the 7 Deadly Sins Origin. Before we get lost in the sea of comparisons, let's talk about what 7 Deadly Sins Origin is actually trying to be. This is Netmarble's big swing to take the franchise beyond their hit turn-based gacha, Grand Cross. They even said that Grand Cross had limits in showing the true scale of the IP, and Origin was made to capture the world of Britannia in a way that just wasn't possible before. Granted, it is an open world action RPG that was built on Unreal Engine 5 that is currently available on PC. It will be going to mobile and I believe so of console. So far, the closed beta test is only on PC right now. But it begins with a small adventure with Tristan and Tiore, where you learn some of the combat mechanics. The story itself is an original one that takes place after the main 7 Deadly Sins manga, but before its sequel, 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. This time around, we play as Tristan, the son of Meliodas and Elizabeth, who gets caught up in a multiverse level mess where time and space have absolutely collided. Now, I will say this, for anyone who has not watched or read 7 Deadly Sins, this can seem a bit jarring. The story takes place well after the original show, and it makes plentiful callbacks to previous events. So please beware that this game is very much of a sequel for those of you who know the show, but like me, who haven't seen the Knights of the Apocalypse. It's beautiful, but also breaks your heart just a little bit. Seeing Meliodas and Elizabeth's kid and the rest of the cast grown up is amazing to watch and just be able to play through. This story gives the devs a canonical excuse to bring back dead characters, pull in heroes from different timelines, and even add new ones without messing up the lore. The game promises a huge map of Britannia to explore, filled with hidden dungeons, world bosses, interactive puzzles, but it's got this real-time 4-character combat system. There's crafting, there's co-op multiplayer, and a story with full voice acting and gorgeous anime faithful visuals. On paper though, this sounds like the ultimate 7 Deadly Sins experience. A true love letter to the fans, a chance to finally step into that world. It's a powerful promise, and it's why my expectations were sky high. But a promise is one thing, but the execution is where it gets complicated. So of course, we need to address the elephant in the room. Playing Seven Deadly Sins Origin feels like slipping on this comfortable pair of shoes that belong to someone else. The DNA of Genshin Impact isn't just there, it's the entire skeleton of the gameplay. This isn't just subtle inspiration, it's a full-on adoption of a successful formula, and you just can't ignore it. The core of any action RPG is its combat, and in Origins, it's a rhythm I've danced to for hundreds of hours across Mondstadt and Liyue over in Genshin. You have a 4-character team you can swap between on the fly. Each character has a basic attack, a skill, and an ultimate. That does sound familiar, doesn't it? Because it doesn't stop there. The elemental combo system, which is a pillar of Genshin's combat, is here in spirit, even if the elements are a bit different. Genshin has like the pyro and the cryo. Origins has its own synergies in itself. The combat pushes you to swap characters, apply effects, trigger reactions for big damage. It's a system that works, no doubt, but the way it's implemented feels simpler. During the beta, I found a lot of attack animations lock you in place, what makes the combat feel sometimes a bit stiff. It's missing some of the deeper mechanics that define similar games, like perfect dodges or aerial combos. The Origins does try to add its own flavor with the tag and synergy attacks, but they feel just like a slight remix. The core loop of skill, swap, skill, ultimate is kind of identical, and it's a functional system and is often fun. Seeing Meliodas and some of the other casts unleash these huge attacks is honestly a thrill to see, but the mechanics are so obviously lifted that it's hard to feel a real connection. I'm doing things that should feel unique to Britannia, but my muscle memories keep screaming Genshin Impact. The dance is the same, just with different partners. This feeling of deja vu gets even stronger when you start exploring the world of Britannia. Visually, the game is beautifully stunning. The cel-shaded art style is a perfect match for the anime, but how you interact with this world is, again, straight out of the Genshin's playbook. There's a stamina bar for sprinting, climbing, and gliding. The world is dotted with treasure chests, collectibles, puzzles that needs a specific character ability to solve, and sometimes those puzzles are stupidly simple, like a 5-year-old can do it. I'm a big fanatic for puzzles. I love Resident Evil. They're one of my favorite when it comes to just puzzles and making you think, but these puzzles are just stupidly simple. You unlock new areas by activating specific points, just like Genshin statues at a 7. The game even has the world levels that affect the difficulty and rewards based on your level. The beta showed at least 4 of those world levels. Now, you could argue these are just standard features for modern open world games, but it's the specific combination of all of these mechanics that stops feeling like industry standard and starts feeling like it's almost a direct copy. The problem is, it makes Britannia feels less like a unique living world and more like a Genshin Impact mod with 7 Deadly Sins skin. However, I have to admit that the world itself, the entirety of Britannia, is pretty massive. Each zone feels like it's filled with so much lore and helps players understand more about the world of Britannia. And one of the biggest things is the lake, the destruction of the lake between the fight between Escanor and Estarossa. And just that little tidbit of information, especially for anybody who's a fan of the show, know that was a very iconic place, and even that entire event sequence was very iconic in itself. So while the how is familiar, the what you're exploring feels true to the source material. And this right here is the heart of my conflict with this game. This is a game that can borrow ideas and still have its own identity, but Origin really seems to struggle with this, caught between its amazing source material and its copy-paste gameplay. So of course, we got to talk about the other elephant in the room, the gacha system. Now, of course, everybody knows this is a Netmarble game. A gacha system was a given. I honestly can do without the gacha system. I would have been fine with this being its own standalone single player game, or sure, multiplayer, whatever. But of course, it's Netmarble. They want their coins, they want their money. A gacha system was absolutely given. This is how you'll get most of the characters in the game. One major thing to note is that the gacha works by, of course, pulling for a character, then also pulling for a specific weapon for that character, a system that reminds me of Genshin Impact and also Brown Dust 2. This creates that two-layered gacha that can be incredibly expensive. And anybody, if you know Brown Dust 2, if you know, you know, for all my gooners out there. But the community's big fear, and mine too, comes from Netmarble's reputation for aggressive monetization. The worry is that the game could be heavily paid to win. Now, the closed beta test was generous and gave us enough summons to practically get the entire roster and their weapons, but we have to be realistic. That generosity might not carry over to the final release. This was a huge chance for Origins to stand out. They could have innovated. Instead, it looks like they're trying to build a system that's at best a direct parallel to Genshin, and at worst even more demanding, reinforcing the clone label. If there's one place where Seven Deadly Sins Origin has a real chance to shine, it's the story. Like I said, the game's original story focusing on Tristan is a smart move, but it could affect someone who plays this game due to not really being able to follow along with all the callbacks. My counter argument to that is this just might be planned. You are playing through the eyes of Tristan, and we must understand that this is Tristan's story and not the Seven Deadly Sins story. And of course, in the Knights of the Republic, this is not the main character from that part either. It lets the game feel like a true sequel or something that's a real part of the canon, but just not just some form of a retelling. The multiverse angle is used well here. Imagine Elizabeth meeting her future son Tristan for the first time, or the chance to bring back beloved characters like Escanor for one more adventure, or as it actually happens in game, we see one of the Holy Knights, Masmer, getting brought back to life. These are the moments that create a powerful connection that makes you forget about the failure gameplay. Another cute moment was when you go to the Fairy King forest and all of a sudden Young King, past King, is seeing the state of the world currently, and as well as seeing his own daughter and just trying to come to terms with that, come to terms that like, holy crap, I'm a dad and I'm actually the Fairy King, without everybody hating me. So the presentation is overall fantastic with beautiful, fully voiced cutscenes that capture the spirit of the anime. This is where the game stops feeling like some clone and starts feeling like Seven Deadly Sins. The real question is whether that story is strong enough to carry the weight of the derivative gameplay. For me, the answer is a frustrating almost. The story is the main thing pulling me in, making me want to power through this deja vu feeling. It's the game's strongest claim to its own identity, but every time I get lost in a story moment, the gameplay loop pulls me right back out, reminding me that the ship I'm sailing is one I've seen before. So after all this, where do I land on Seven Deadly Sins Origin? Mechanically, is it a clone? In many ways, yes. The core systems are so heavily borrowed from Genshin Impact that the label is just fair. The lack of new ideas, especially with the gacha, feels like a huge wasted opportunity in my opinion. Performance-wise, the test build has some issues. I only noticed a few stutters here and there, but nothing crazy that made the game unplayable. But the bigger question is it soulless? No, kind of. That's what makes this so tough. The soul of this game doesn't come from its gameplay, it comes from the IP itself. The story is compelling, the visuals are beautiful tributes, and for a fan, the chance to live in this world is a powerful draw. The story is the game's beating heart, trying to pump life into a body made of borrowed parts. But this leaves us with one big question. Who is this game for? Now, if you are a hardcore Genshin Impact player feeling burnt out, this probably isn't it. The gameplay is so similar, it just might feel like a reskin. Or if you're a die-hard fan of the Seven Deadly Sins, This game is almost a must try, but with the big catch. You will love the story, the characters, exploring Britannia, but you have to accept that the gameplay holding it all together is deeply unoriginal. And if you've never played Genshin Impact, but you love anime open world RPGs, you will probably have an absolute blast. You'll get to experience this polished, addictive gameplay loop for the first time, wrapped in a fantastic story. For me, Seven Deadly Sins Origin is stuck in a frustrating limbo. It's a game with a serious identity crisis, as the heart of a beloved fantasy epic trapped in a body of a game I've already played to death. I want to love it for its story, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm just going to go through the motions. It's a good game that could have been great. It only had trusted its own world enough to build something new for it. But hey, that's just my take after playing the closed beta. As of right now, the closed beta test has ended, and we have to wait for the official release that I believe is in January. The game is still in development. Things could change before its full release, so I'm hoping that Netmarble, if you come across this video, please do something. Please change the gameplay aspect or the gacha system or whatever. Something needs to change, because it cannot be just a reskin of Genshin Impact. That's the thing that I was saying time and time again when I was playing this game. And I'm just genuinely torn, and I want to know what you all think. Are you excited for Origins? Do the similars to Genshin bother you, or are you just happy to get a new open world game with your favorite characters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to see where the community stands on this. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more content on any other RPGs that are out there, definitely make sure to like the button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, my outcast, stay safe out there. And it's been your host, Chaos DTV, signing out. Peace.